How's it going? I'm Hunter from over yonder, and today I wanted to talk to you about this. Now, this is probably the weirdest looking Kentucky rifle you've probably ever seen, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So I went to graduate school for art and design with a specialization in woodworking. During my time in grad school, I was more so interested in learning hands-on and traditional woodworking, because up until that point, I had really only knew how to use laser cutters and CNC machines, which are all automated. Although lasers and CNCs are perhaps woodworking adjacent, it just doesn't feel like woodworking because, well, the machine is the only one working with the wood. So in art grad school, you work on an overall thesis paper that more or less is just a testament to who you are as an artist. It goes over what are you creating, how are you creating it, and most importantly, why. My thesis was 41 pages long, and so long story short, I come from a family of tradespeople like carpenters and blacksmiths, all from the rural South. Family was really important, and it left a lasting impression on me to want to create things using similar tools and trades. Something I would see my family wear, and is a common style of fabric in the South, is gingham. So I used this as a sort of motif through my artwork. I would create gingham work on paper, out of wood, in the form of fishing bobbers or fishing bait, and I would actually engrave it into the metal of some of my grandparents' hand tools. But I think the most unique project I produced was a black powder shotgun with a wooden gingham stock. You see, I would spend a lot of time on my grandfather's farm as a kid, and aside from doing daily chores like feeding the pigs, mowing the fields, and painting fences, my grandpa would give me a kit of gun parts to work on while I was there. He would say, if you put this together before you leave, I'll let you shoot it. So the metal parts of this shotgun are off of one that I actually built with him. It was an impactful bonding experience between him and I, learning how to do minor woodworking and metalworking. And I still have the original stock actually right here. It's got a little bit of dust on it. So this project was a combination of trying my hand at hand carving a stock, using the tools of my grandfather to represent a cherished shared memory. And so since then, I've always had an interest in old firearms and the artistry behind them. So later on in grad school, I started to see more and more gun stocks being engraved with lasers. So normally and historically, it's always been done with chisels by hand, but I've been seeing laser engraving all the way from really high-end models to some cheaper ones as well. And being that I have some decent experience with lasers, I decided I want to give stock engraving a try, this time on a Kentucky rifle. This rifle was made from a Traditions kit. It uses black powder, a percussion cap, and shoots a .45 caliber round ball. For those who have never heard of a Kentucky rifle, essentially this is a musket used for hunting and sharpshooting, primarily used in the American colonial time period. It's called a rifle because looking down the barrel, it has, as you could probably guess, rifling, which puts spin on the ball, making it leagues more accurate than a smoothbore. So this kit comes in essentially two pieces, pre-carved, and you can assemble the whole thing in about 30 minutes or so. There is some work that can be done to them, like sanding and staining it to give it your own kind of flair. However, I wanted to see if it were possible to engrave my gingham pattern into the wooden stock. I made a file of the pattern and loaded it up to the laser engraver and developed this. So using 3 different passes of differing power, I was able to get 3 different shades of brown. I think it definitely engraved better in some areas than others, and I found it hard to get some really good contrast. A tricky thing about laser engraving is that, at least with the one that I used, it can really only engrave in one direction, and that's down. So if you look at the bottom here, this is where the laser begins to lose focus and drop off. And to be honest, I'm not too fond of how it looks. I believe I put a clear coat layer over everything to seal it, which helped marginally with the contrast. When I bring it to the range, it definitely turns some heads because there just really isn't anything that looks like this. All in all, I think it's just unique. Nothing really more. The idea was there, but the results didn't really live up to my expectations. However, this is still a perfectly functional rifle, but I plan on giving this a refinish for a future video, and I'm going to turn it into something you'll probably never expect. So the point of this video was mostly for me to document and show you all what I made here, give a little history about it and myself, before it gets totally redone and transformed into something new. If you stuck around this long, thanks for watching, so I will see you in the next one.